So this is going to be our lab, um, Apache, and we are doing this lab on Debian 12. So the first part of the lab, we are talking how to install Apache. Make sure, first of all, your connection is under NAT. So check the settings. It is under NAT because under NAT, you receive an IP address from your router, and then you can connect your VMs to the internet. The password also is Debian, right? Debian.
Professor, I have a question.
Yeah.
Professor, we are going to use this.
So this is like um, here you can search for a terminal, what we did in the previous session, and then you can continue with code. If you have a Ubuntu server, also that works. Um, so I'm just making this one bigger to know that what I am doing here. So the first step usually is checking your connectivity. You have a connectivity, and then you can install apt-get install Apache 2. You see that we are installing services, and these services that we are installing today is Apache. So once you install this one, and if you open the browser, this browser, Firefox browser, or any other type of browser that you have in your operating system, and if you type localhost, basically you can reach the first page of Apache, and this is Apache's first page. So what does it mean? That means that there are some codes running here. Let me show you. Let me clear my screen. So if you see the var www here, you see that that's HTML folder, and this folder contains information of index.html. So if I delete this page, HTML, so I deleted the previous one, and if I create new one like that, and then I put like a tag, very simple tag, like this is my first page, right? And close this tag, Control X, save it, and look, now this is a new one. But if you refresh this page, look, this is your first tag that you have for um, this part, right? So that means that any HTML file that you put under this folder, www.html, it will run the code. And that's your root of website, actually. Let me show you something else also. So this is now the feature of the web server. So if you do app cache, and app cache, actually, you can search the packages that you have. So look, there are lots of PHP packages, but let me search Apache. So these are like modules related to Apache, like listed here. I'm gonna do, I'm gonna install this one. Apt-get install, this one. That's for a server side. And that means that now your web server um, can run Apache with the PHP. So that means your web server now can read PHP and translate to HTML. So you see that the latest version of a PHP now is 8.2 and is receiving that latest version here. Okay, so the next step, I'm here under this index.html. I'm gonna create another file with nano. For example, I put that one info.php file. Under this file, basically when you're creating PHP file, it should start with a question mark like that. And this is a function inside PHP. We want to test that PHP is working or not. So then you question mark this way and then save your file. So now if you come back to localhost and say that, okay, run info.php for me now. So basically, maybe it doesn't have that information. Let me see that. Is there any problem? PHP info. Yeah. Oh, I missed PHP here. Then save it. So now if you refresh it, so look now is telling you that, okay, this is your PHP and these are the configuration file that you can have it. So that's PHP file configuration. That means that your web server now utilize with PHP language. Also, there are some modules running on the Apache server by default, but if you want to figure out which module is running now, you can go to this path, cd etc Apache 2 and then mods. We have two version mods available. Look, these are available modules. And also here on the upper folder, we have mods, cd mods enable. So here, so these out of these modules, we have these modules enabled. So there are some ways that you can run multi-processing modules. We call that one as a MPM. So MPM modules, they are in different versions like pre-fork, worker, and event. Like pre-fork is very compatible. Worker usually use a thread, and event is a newer one that you can use the memory very efficiently. So if you want to see that where those are located, you can usually do it like that. ls grep npm. You see that this prefork now is enabled under those modules. That means that this prefork usually use a lot of RAM, and modules like PHP usually using this prefork. The other features that we have under Apache is Apache authentication. So you can enable Apache authentication by running this command, apt-get install Apache 2 utils. So usually utils is part of that Apache packages. So if you go under etc Apache 2 and then sites enable here. There is a configuration file 00 default conf that you can enable some features here. The features that I'm looking for is like having authentication for guest user. That means that anyone is entering my website, they should enter username password. So that we call it also as a directory authentication. So like I'm going to create here a directory, and this directory is located under var www.html. So I'm going to create that one later, maybe var www.html, and call it admin. What I'm going to do under this directory, I authenticate the users. Authentication type basic. That means that everyone should enter username password. And authentication name is the text message that you're using for the users. For example, you're asking that please enter your credential. And then we have authentication user file. This file we usually save user information, especially password. So I'm gonna save it under this folder, Apache etc underline, this file. The file name is pass. And the last one is require valid user, means that your user should be part of that Apache database. So then I close the directory, and now let's configure the rest of things. So one of the things that now I should configure here, first of all, I should go under cd var www.html here. I create a folder. So mkdir admin. So now I have a folder admin, right? And then under admin, I create a file. For example, index.html. I call this one h1, and this is admin part or admin section. And h1, I close admin. So that means that I have a file under this folder. The next step is setting a password HTTP pass WD -C, and then etc Apache 2 pass. So I'm gonna save the username password under this file. So the username that I'm using is my name, and the password, a very simple password, 12345. I'm gonna set it here. So if you look at this file now under etc Apache 2 here, so nano pass, look, is encrypted. User is Hamid and the password is encrypted. So then I'm gonna restart my Apache services. You can do like this: systemctl restart Apache 2. Now look, if you open your local host and type here admin, it's asking for username password. So if you put, for example, wrong password, it doesn't allow you to go to that website. But if you put Hamid and the right password, then it allow you to reach to this web page. So that's like kind of authentication that you can add for your web page. And you have seen on the web a lot. The other piece that we have under that configuration file, that means that if you go under sites enable, Yeah, here we have here a kind of configuration file. That's the same as the previous one. Um, so I'm gonna comment this section because I want to show you something else. So commenting is like adding pound sign in at the beginning of the line. And this feature that I want to show you is redirect, like redirecting from one page to another page. So redirect from root to admin page, or from admin to root page, like that. So what does it mean? That means that if someone wants to reach to the admin page, it automatically will be redirected to the first page. Systemctl restart Apache 2. So like I want to reach to admin page. Look, automatically goes to the first page. If I type it again, admin, automatically will be redirected to my first page. And this is called as redirect. Also, Apache has some features to add a virtual host. So you have seen like websites, so many websites on the web, and some people are hosting some website and they're selling the host. So it's like that. So if you go under um, cd etc Apache 2 sites available here, there is like a configuration here. And this configuration, basically, you can create different type of virtual hosts. I want to have a scenario first. Var, go under var www HTML here, the main root folder. Let's create two test1 and test2 folder. So now I have two folder. Under test1, I'm gonna create um, index.html, and I'm saying that, okay, this is test1. That's my test1. And also one up, and then go to cd test2 nano index dash h.html here h1. This is test2. So that's like acts like a two websites that I have, test1 and test2. I just want to show you that, okay, these are two folders. Look, two folders, two folders, folder 1, folder 2. Each of them has different file. So like two websites with the different files. And now I want to run both this website on the web server. So what you do, you create a virtual host that is connected, one of them to test1, the other one is connected to test2. So you go under cd etc Apache 2, and then sites available here, and then you modify this 000 default file, okay, here. So here we have a redirect. I also comment this section. So you see that virtual host goes all requests goes to port 80. So I'm gonna say for the first one that, okay, test1 website goes to this path, test1. And then I'm gonna create another one for the next one. So I'm gonna create another virtual host. So the second one, virtual host, basically I should add here test2. And that one also goes to port 80. If you want to use different port also is available is here. And then in here, I can say that server admin is, for example, has this webmaster assign local host has this email. You can put your email if you want. Document. This is very important. Document root. Where is the root of document? Is under var www html and test2, the another folder that we have, or another website. And then you can virtual host. You can close that one. So look, we are having now two virtual hosts, and these two virtual hosts running two websites. One of them test1, the other one test2. So usually your website needed DNS to resolve the websites. Nano etc hosts here by default is set as a local host, but you can say that, okay, now if someone is reaching to local host, test1 also can be part of that. Also test2 also can be part of that. That means that if someone put test1 in the browser, it will reach the localhost. If it says test2, it will reach to also localhost. But who can redirect the traffic? This file, 000default.conf. So now if you do service Apache to restart, or then type here HTTP test1. Look, it will redirect you to test1 web page. And if I type here HTTP test2, it will run the second website. This is test2. Look, test1, test2. So this way you can run multiple websites, and we call that one as a virtual host. The last piece that we are talking here today is creating SSL certificate, or a self-signed certificate for your website. You want to run HTTPS. And this is like that. So first of all, we should create a certificate. So open SSL actually is a command that you can create a certificate. But there are some arguments here, like requirement X509-X509. So that's like a standard for creating certificate 509 that notes dash days, how many days you wanted to create that certificate. Usually certificate has an expiration time, dash new key. So what type of key you want to use here? RSA, for example, 2048, dash key out. So that's like your output of the key. So it's going to be save here, SSL private, and then Apache, that self-signed dot key. So that's like the name of the file. You can put any name. And then dash out is going to be your public key that's going to be saved under certs. And I call it as Apache self-signed.crt. So you have two keys. One of them is private key. The other one is public key. Once you run this command, it's asking you, where is your country name? So you put it, for example, CA. State, BC. Locality name, city, I call it Bern. Organization name, VCC, for example. Organization unit name, and then you can put, for example, IT. Common name, for a common name, you can open a new tab and check your IP address here, or IP address like that. And the IP address that I have here is 192.168.60.120 9. So I put this IP address as a common name. Email address, you can put your email address, for example, Hamid sign, for example, something, yahoo.com, for example, like that. Okay, any name. So then it will create a certificate for you. So the certificates is located here under cd etc. The commands that you put it cd etc ssl, cd etc ssl, and certs. Look here, we have that certificate that I created, self-signed certificate. Where is it? The self signed certificate. Yeah, is here, CRT. And the other one is under private, like here, CD private. Also, we have here SSL Apache self-signed .key. So if you cat this Apache, you see that you cannot read. This is a private key that you have. Okay, next step, you go under nano etc Apache 2 sites available default dot ssl.conf. Yeah, that file. This file actually part of that here in the middle of this file, you have these two keys. Then you're going to replace your key here. So the key that you created is one of them is Apache dash self signed dot crt, and the other key that you created is Apache dash self signed dot key. Is two keys. The path is the same, but one of them is your private key, the other one is your public key. The other piece that you should enable here is A2EN mod SSL. That's a module of SSL. You're going to enable that one. And then A2 enable mod headers. That's for HTTP headers. So, and also A2 enable site default SSL. These modules should be enabled, dash SSL. If you restart system CTL, restart Apache 2. So then Apache is going to be reloaded. Now, if you type here, HTTPS localhost, you see that you receive that warning. That warning means that your certificate is not signed by a CA, but it is a self-signed certificate. You click on advanced and then you accept the risk. So here you see that that's HTTPS protocol. And if you click on a more information, view certificate, then you see that the information that I put like CA, BC, Bernabe, VCC, IT, Hamid, all of them are shown here. And RSA, remember that the key size 2048, also validity is for 1 year. So most of our information are shown here, and you can check the information of the certificate. So that's like self-signed certificate you can on server and use it for HTTPS.